we're giving this another go. Waiting for the one and only Mona Anand. Hmm. Hmm. Let's see. Michaela is here. And Sanna. Hello, hello. Satu. My crew is here. Mona. Hi, Mona. Mona, I sent you a little message to put your phone on no disturb because sometimes I forget, but if you get a phone call in all of a sudden, it's good to do that. But I see that you're requesting, so I'm gonna try to get you in. Go live with Mona. Let's see.
Hi.
Hi, Mona.
Hi, Aino.
Hi. You made it.
I made it. You think to put my phone on silent, right? Not on silent, on airplane.
Oh, you put it. But airplane, you wouldn't be able to do this.
Oh, but I am. Let me just.
Are you? Oh, maybe you have the internet still. Oh, yeah.
I put the internet back on.
Okay, perfect. I think that's fine.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Well, okay. I don't know how you did it. Oh, I'm so happy to have you here, Mona.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, so I want to introduce you properly. So we have people like popping in. Michaela is here, Sanna is here, Satu is here. So people will pop in, and then later we'll store this on there's like something called the Instagram TV, so they can watch this later. They might come and go now, but yes. So Mona Anand, for those that don't know her, she's this incredible yoga master, Yogi Raj teacher at ISHTA Yoga here in New York. But not only that, she's also my friend. I consider her my very close, sweet, kind, beautiful human friend. And I'm so grateful to have you as my friend. And not only that, she's also the co-owner and partner of ISHTA Yoga here in New York. So welcome, Mona. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for being such an amazing friend too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So we're here today because we wanted to talk more about, we just chatted with Mona for a little bit before this. And we're just so excited because this is the first time that we're bringing the ISHTA 300-hour training to Finland. And we've been planning and plotting this, and we can't wait. So we wanted to do this Insta Live, and with you especially because you're like, I consider you almost like the yoga university in a way. I know ISHTA is, but you're a big part of that. So just to kind of pick your brain and just to get an idea of all these specialties that come in this 300-hour training, and how it can, how it can deepen someone on the path of becoming a teacher. But before we go into that, I wanted to ask you, Mona, how you got into yoga. Like, when were you first introduced to yoga?
Yeah, so I actually got into yoga in India. So I grew up in Bombay. And we had, as part of in high school, we had a teacher who would come in and teach us Yoga Nidra. And we would just come downstairs, lie in a hall, and she would take us on this journey. And I was a competitive athlete at that time. And I found this practice would take me into this place of deep stillness that I'd never experienced before. She used to tell us that 20 minutes of Yoga Nidra was equivalent to 4 to 6 hours of sleep. And that was very appealing also, just being in high school with exams and everything else. So I actually started practicing Yoga Nidra from then and used it all through college, all through graduate school. Whenever I was stressed, I knew how to do this technique. But then, later in life, I started having these massive asthma attacks right after 9/11. And so all my friends from India would say, you should do yoga. And that'll really help with asthma. Because in India, we use yoga a lot therapeutically. So that's how I walked into what was then B Yoga, right? And B Yoga has eventually become ISHTA Yoga. And there was no such thing as Yoga Nidra. So I was looking for Yoga Nidra practices, but there was restorative, and I'd never taken a restorative class. So I started taking asana classes and restorative classes. And then through the practice, it totally changed. I was in and out of the hospital all the time. But by practicing yoga, I was able to get all my symptoms under control. And it's just been life changing. And that's what I then wanted to become a teacher and share and really help people who were struggling with different, like asthma is a stress related disorder in a way. So help people with anxiety and stress, and just to recognize how much you can actually heal in a holistic way and how powerful yoga is. That's how I got into taking the training and then eventually becoming a teacher.
And I always remember, because Mona is my teacher and you were my trainer, and I've learned so much from you directly. And I remember these are kind of, this just came into my mind, but I remember you telling me, I know when you teach people, teach them the tools, you know, instead of just telling people what to do, like do this, do that, because you know it, teach them the tools. And I found that to be really the eye-opening moment too. It's like, no, we want to make people independent and to understand this knowledge so that then when they come to class, they know what to do. They know how to modify, you know, the practices themselves.
Absolutely. Because, you know, I think often in a lot of Western cultures, there's this idea that someone tells you
Yes.
this is what to do. And it comes from a lot of the Western spiritual traditions, the knower and giving you the information. And I think that that's what's really different about our approach at ISHTA. It's really, and why I was so drawn to the practice.
Yes.
Because it was really like you are your own teacher.
Yes.
And so we as teachers are just there to give you the tools and to expand your toolbox. So you have many different ways. And some days, as we both know, some tools work. Some days it's pranayama that works. And some days it's asana that just helps to burn out the tension or whatever you're feeling. And some days it's a seated meditation. And so really different days, different things actually work to help us.
Absolutely. And then that brings me to another point of ISHTA. I always think of like Al saying to us that become your kind of teacher. It's like we have, even in the teacher trainings, it's really about, it's not making this one kind of model of a teacher, but it is to become more of you as a teacher. And then you have these amazing tools, how you can guide others. But I always resonated with that, with what Al said, like, be you. You can't be Al teaching. You can't be Mona. That's already taken. Just be you, you know, as a teacher.
That is so true. And that's actually also what drew me to ISHTA was the idea that it wasn't like you could interpret it in your own way. You could take the teachings and then bring, and then you're not put into this box of exactly like a script of how you're supposed to teach. But you're really encouraged to be your own teacher and use these tools both in how you want to be as a teacher and in that way give those tools to your students.
Yes, it drew me into, because there's something about like, it always smelled a little off if you're having to become just another thing in line. And it's like, well, that's not really maybe me. And I might like to use music in class, or I like using oils, which is what I do like to do. But then some teachers don't. Like we have a beautiful teacher, Douglas, who doesn't use music ever. And some do not want oils. And then we have the pool of, you know, people going to different classes because they also know that these individuals have a specific kind of resonance that they resonate with, but the common thread is the ISHTA lineage in there. It's really it's a beautiful way to teach and to train teachers.
And you put it so absolutely beautifully, but so true. You know, it's empowering teachers to not feel like this, I'm not allowed to teach it any other way but this way. It's how do I interpret it. And that's why, but there's one common theme, right, that you'll feel in every ISHTA class, and that's there's an acceptance, right? Because it comes from that tantric perspective that you're not looking outside of, not trying to improve yourself. but to connect with your true self. And so you
Right.
can always find that in every ISHTA teacher, there is this acceptance that runs through the practice rather than improvement.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. I remember you have said that quote, exactly that thing. I forgot how the exact quote goes, but you said that in your class, and I agree. It's such a beautiful, powerful message and feeling that you get when you come to class. And I think people who come and feel like they literally say, I feel like I've come home, because you
Yeah.
feel that sense of belonging. And like,
Yeah.
I belong here. I'm
Yeah.
accepted here. And then it wears off on you and you start to accept yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's great.
Yeah.
And so in Finland, a lot of Finnish yogis and yoga teachers, they've done the 200-hour training, but there are not so many of the 300-hour trainings yet in Finland. And so I don't know, what would you say? Like, why would it be important to do the 300-hour, and why is the 300-hour?
Yeah. I mean, I think that, well, I think firstly that 200 hours just gives you a basic foundation in
Mm-hmm.
all the different areas, but the 300-hour takes you much deeper into all the different
Yeah.
areas, right? So if you look at just asana, you get into much more complex asana in the 300-hour, right?
Yeah.
And in whatever we're doing, we have this experience it, learn it, uh, posture lab it, and then be able to teach it. So you really understand things from a deeper level. We do this with meditation and pranayama too, right? So
Yeah.
in the 200 hour, you learn basic asana, really understanding basic alignment.
Mm-hmm.
You understand basic pranayama, really understanding what the breath is about, and really understanding the basic aspects of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get into the 300 hour, you get into the complex asana, you get into much deeper, more varied practices of meditation and pranayama, right? So we say ISHTA means individualized. And
Mm-hmm.
just what we were talking about, this toolbox, right?
Yeah.
So meditation is not just a blanket statement like come sit down and meditate. You can do different meditations based on what's going on within you, right? So there's
Yeah.
some meditations that lift your spirits, there are meditations that help to release what's in your unconscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can choose and learn which meditations, which pranayama is ideal for what at this moment we're feeling. So you get to really expand your toolbox there. The other thing that's amazing about the 300-hour is we have these specialties, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
actually we have restorative, we have yoga nidra, we have meditation, we have Sanskrit, we have prenatal, and we bring in experts from different fields to go deeper in their fields. And that also distinguishes, I think, the Bhagavad Gita, the Yoga Sutras. We really look much more deeply into all of these areas in the 300-hour.
And you spoke a little bit about the yoga nidra already, but do you want to talk a little bit more about these other aspects of like the Ayurveda and maybe the subtle body that are in the 300-hour?
Yeah, so ISHTA stands for Integrated Science of Hatha, Tantra, and Ayurveda.
Mm-hmm.
Ayurveda is a very important part of the 300-hour. And
Mm-hmm.
in the 200-hour, you learn basically what Ayurveda is about. That it's a sister science of yoga and the rest. But when you come into the 300-hour, you learn how to actually apply it. So if someone walks into your class, right, or you're teaching a group class, you can actually teach people who have different imbalances how to bring themselves into balance. Right? So we sort of systematize now, how can I take that knowledge that I learned in the 200-hour and how can I apply it for my students? How can I make them be their own teachers? So to understand Ayurveda and to understand which tools would you use based on what imbalance you're experiencing at the moment. So that's Ayurveda and asana. That's a big part of what we teach in the 300-hour, but
And
also just going deeper into Ayurveda itself.
yes, and I'm going to stop you there just for a second because I think that's the beauty of ISHTA too, is that when you teach a group class, there's a way of teaching to every imbalance at the same time, and it sounds a little insane, but it's actually not that complicated. And I've learned that really from you. Like the way you've mastered this art is phenomenal, and to bring it in a way that is empowering for people, not confusing. and they keep coming back, and they become almost like they've landed all this information, and now they have these tools how to customize not only this one imbalance in themselves, but what if the next day is another thing going on, how to bring themselves into balance. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's so true, because I feel that that's right. You can read about Ayurveda, you can read about asana, you can read about all these different things. But what's so profound about the ISHTA teachings is, how do I now be able to bring it through in teaching a class and in my own practice, right?
Yep.
How do I apply those tools? That's the gift of what we teach, I think, at ISHTA. It's like, how do I know which practice and how and when? And how do I share it with people who need the meditation practices? Which meditation would be ideal for them at this point? Which asana, which pranayama, all of that. It's very individualized, right?
Yeah.
And we're all different. What we need, right? What we need in terms of what we do with our lives, in terms of what we do in our practice is different every day based on what we're feeling. Right?
Yes.
There's no one size fits all.
Yes.
That's, it's being able to teach those different ways we're feeling each day that makes ISHTA so unique.
Yes. And I'm going to add another thing, that I always consider these teacher trainings as not only are you learning these incredible, this incredible knowledge from ancient times, really, that's been run in the lineage and is coming to you now, but also it's your own individual healing process. So for 300 hour, it's a much deeper own individual healing process that you go through. And then again, when you start sharing the tools, we all know what we're able to teach gets even more ingrained in us. So it's just a gift that really does keep giving. As corny as that saying may sound, but it is the truth. It's the truth.
And to go off that, I mean, that's why in the 300 hour, what we have, which is so unique, is the Svadhyaya project, right?
Yes.
So that
Tell
is
us about that a little.
Sorry? Yeah.
Tell us about that a little.
Yeah. So what's so unique about that is everybody in the training picks something they want to work on. So maybe I might pick, I want to delve deeper into meditation.
Right.
So maybe what I would do is I'd meditate every day. I might research what meditation does, but then I'm going to journal every day what my meditation practice was that day, how that affected me that day. And then I might at the end present on what I found in my independent research project. And you get to work with your mentor. So every trainee is assigned a mentor. And I think that's a beautiful part about 300 hour. You get to really work with your mentor one-on-one. Yes. And get to know a smaller group of your fellow mentees within a particular, who are working with the same teacher. But we're able to teach by teaching ourselves and knowing ourselves more deeply, that we can help others, right? There's a different thing between wisdom and knowledge, right? Yeah. Wisdom is through our direct experience. Knowledge we can read about. So we're applying, right? So in the 300 hour, we're really looking at ourselves and working with ourselves, not just learning to teach everyone else, because in teaching ourselves, we become better teachers.
Yes.
And I think those projects, I mean, as a trainer, I'm so inspired by who takes the 300 hour. And I learn from everyone else in the training, and to watch these projects and what insights people have about themselves and about life that come through this independent study, and going much deeper, looking at any area within the 300 hour, how it relates to yourself. So
yes, yes, so much. Yes. And I was even thinking, like, this is also, because I think of my trainings, my 200 hour and 300 hour, it's a way of also finding your tribe. It's a way of like having these like-minded souls and individuals. They become your family, your friends. They can, if you allow them to become really your support system. Not everyone has so many of these like-minded souls close by. So this is one way of gathering, like-minded spirits also, which I love. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to, right, we sit in mentoring. I loved mentoring. I'm really still close to everyone who was in my trainings, because it's not just you're being taught material.
Yes.
It's where you're getting together and you're talking about what you're going through and discussing the material and discussing your own project and your own experiences.
And it's really like how it relates to life. Like, how
Yeah,
are we living our life? Is our life in alignment with our yoga, right? Like, I feel like it gets to that, right? The mentoring,
yeah,
really, I agree with you. It's like a whole other dimension of it. And it's so beautiful.
yeah, because that's the only measure of the practice is how we are able to bring it into our lives, right? It's not just about learning all this context separately, but it's how do I apply it in my life, and what insights does it give me, and how does it make me move through life with ease and with more clarity?
Yes. Yes. I like what you said. It's the only measure of the practice is how can we apply? What is it giving us in life? How do we feel?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And
How
then
does
the
it help
other
us with, the challenges we face, how,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And I feel like also just the thought came into my mind about the 300 hour that this is where we sort of have the opportunity to really tune in to what our niche might be. You know, since there are these specialties that are offered like Yoga Nidra, we get deeper into the chakras, Bhagavad Gita, we get into the restorative a little bit
Yeah.
deeper, prenatal. And you might have we've had so many pregnant women in the trainings too,
Yeah.
and then they often start to teach a prenatal class or something because
Yeah.
your interest is there, your heart is there, and then it may change, of course, later. But
Yeah.
it's lovely because now you have the opportunity to go deeper and to start to stretch and open that part and to see, wow, like this might be where I wanna explore more.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part I've been so excited about, like developing, really working to in these specialties to have people. So you take the training and then you think, oh, actually, it's restorative or it's yoga nidra or it's the sutras that I'm really interested in. And then you can take an advanced training on just that specific area and go
Mhm.
deeper into that area.
Mhm.
Because, there's infinite knowledge, right? We can never really be an expert on anything. We just know more. So the
True.
danger is when we believe we're an expert, but we learn more and more and more. And so you touch these topics, and once you touch them, there's an infinite amount of knowledge there. And then you can really figure out what is it within. We touch so many topics in the 300 hour, right? And then you can go deeper into your specific, or one specific area, and then another later. Like you can keep learning, right? But right
That's
now you might find this is what's inspiring me. I'd like to learn more, and you can then take a specialty in that particular area and go further with that particular teacher that's teaching something that inspires you.
that's right. That's right. It's so exciting.
It really is.
And we're so grateful that now, because the world is as it is, and Mikaela and I, we're both Finnish citizens, so we are definitely coming to Finland and starting the trainings. But most likely you and Sarah and Al, and we'll have Peter join via Zoom for these trainings, and to have you guys there to be able to share all this that you have gained, wisdom and knowledge throughout your lives, and to transmit that, because it truly, I believe, it is a transmission of energy that happens. And I have found that there is no difference, even though we like to think there's a difference between live and the Zoom, but that same kind of connection can be created
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
online.
Because as you and I were talking about just earlier today, we
Yeah,
know people through their eyes. And in Zoom, when you're on Zoom, you're connecting to people's face in the eyes. How do you know someone? It's because you look into their eyes and you look at their facial expressions. And it's
that's
kind of
true.
intimate when you're online. I'm surprised by and really amazed by how powerful it's been to teach on Zoom and how this
Yeah,
material can be transmitted through online platforms. Because you're at home, it's also there's a safety in it. You're at home, and you're getting what you guys are doing in Finland is amazing because you have that direct. They get to work with you directly,
yes,
and they also get to be able to connect with you on Zoom and
I
keep in
agree.
touch with you. This has opened up a new world. They can keep in touch with you and Mikaela on Zoom throughout in between the modules. So that is really
Right.
amazing too. Plus, get access to what has been so amazing about ISHTA trainings is that we have different trainers come in to teach what they specialize in, and so they get access to these amazing this amazing content that people have put so much into studying, you know.
Yes. Tell us a little bit actually about, do you want to mention just a few of those specialty trainings
Yeah,
that
so I
are?
think like um, Al and Wendy have written a book on the Yoga Sutras, and
Yes.
Wendy has just dedicated so many years to that. So she comes in
Yeah.
to talk about the sutras. Peter is quite an expert on the Bhagavad Gita, and people love that lecture. He comes in to do that. Gina teaches her own prenatal trainings and has just so much knowledge in that area.
Yeah.
She comes in to teach prenatal.
Yeah.
Um, we have anatomy. Al comes in to teach you. It's just such a gift that people can get. Al, it's, you know, and
Yeah.
now with Zoom, we can beam him all over the world, right? Instead of
Yeah.
having to make him travel.
Yeah.
I come in to teach yoga nidra. It's something I'm really passionate about. I also teach yoga nidra on the chakras. I'm very interested in the chakras. So that's a
Mhm.
training of really understanding how you can correct different chakra imbalances using asana, restorative, and yoga nidra, all the steps of yoga nidra.
Mhm.
Um, Gina and I teach a restorative training. So if that's an area you're interested in, you can get
Mhm.
more of that. So there's just,
Mhm.
I'm missing many, I'm sure, but just off the
Yes.
top of my head,
Yes. Exactly.
there's Sanskrit that we come in and teach.
Mhm.
Not me, but someone who's an
Mhm.
expert on Sanskrit. So that all these different areas where we really bring in people that are steeped in a particular area. But those are
Mhm.
the areas that come just jump out right away that I
Yeah.
think of in terms of the ISHTA training.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love the idea that now we can, we can come in, we can zoom in to trainings and bring all this additional material in
That's right. That's right.
instead of
Yeah.
trying as we used to before to figure out all these travel plans of everyone flying all over.
That's right. That's right. And we're planning with Michaela also to have you guys like projected onto a wall, like, big screen and good speakers. And so it's gonna be like a powerful experience, even though it's online. Some of, the lessons that we have with you guys, just like we discussed, that there's this transmission of energy happening, which is powerful. Yeah.
And it's just they're so lucky that they get to have you and Michaela live, which is amazing.
No.
They get that Shakti from that in person
Yes. Yes.
working together.
And that's something that we talk about often in the Ishta lineage, is the transmission of Shakti,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
energy. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Well, I think there's just something. It's not like you can just read books to know. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
right? They broke through. I thought I'd shut it off, but it didn't.
Oh, you.
A call. Sorry, I didn't know
You're
that
here.
disappeared for a moment.
That's okay.
Yeah, there's so much to that in-person transmission, and it's the history of yoga is always taught from teacher to student, and so
Yeah.
that is just not just by reading books and thinking that you can just gain this knowledge out there, but really that direct relationship between, and that's why mentoring is such an important part of our 300 hour, and that's why the IR projects and that you get to, I mean, as I said, with all these amazing senior teachers between Alan and Sarah and Peter and Wendy and you and Michaela and everyone coming in, the teaching staff at ISHTA is just so incredible with so many years of experience. And to be able to work directly with such incredible teachers, I think is one of the gifts of this training, right? So many trainings are taught by one person, but
Yeah.
each person has something beautiful to bring. And I always say what stands out for me with ISHTA is that you've just got such an incredible group of teachers all dedicated to this lineage,
Yeah.
and bringing their own uniqueness to it. It's not like we bring the same thing. Everyone brings something a little different to the
Yes.
table.
Yes. Yeah. And that really does feel special because yeah, I felt that support from everyone at ISHTA, even at the time when when I was just studying to become a teacher, just getting that support of like, you have your special niche in a way, just in the way that you teach. And that's the support that I want to continue to give to others, because we're not, as we said earlier, trying to become just part of the same mold. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that ISHTA keeps growing because of
Mhm.
the teachers who come in and then specialize.
Yeah.
in different areas, and then within that same umbrella of acceptance, of individualized education,
Yes.
develop more and more of this program. So
That's right.
it's always growing, you know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's been so beautiful to watch what each person has contributed to it.
Yes, it's so true. Well, thank you, Mona, so much. And I just want to tell everyone that how, if they're interested in the Finland teacher training for the 300-hour, they can go to ishtayoga.fi, so for our Finland website. And there you'll see all the information, how to apply. There's an application and terms and conditions that you want to read through first, and just to understand what it is. And then you can email us and we'll answer any other questions that you might have. But we're starting the 300-hour. The first module is January 4th to the 14th, 2021. And the second one is March 29th to April 8th. And then the last one is August 2nd to the 13th. And so next year, 2021. So we're so happy to have you, Mona. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
disappear when I try to namaste you.
Oh yeah, because I was like, I just see the top of your head first. Oh, and actually, before you go, let me just see if anyone has any questions that they want to ask. Is that okay, Mona?
Of course.
Yeah. So we would love to hear if you have any questions at all about the 300-hour training. Feel free to ask. Sometimes, and it could actually be even afterwards when I post this on the Insta TV, you could put on that, so you'll see this. Oh, thank you. And you could see this, and you can just post under, and then I'll make sure Mona gets the question too. So, but thank you so much, Mona, and have a beautiful, blessed day, and everyone else as well.
Thank you. I know this was really fun to chat
It
about.
was any fun?
Yeah.
It's so fun.
I'm so excited that they're going to be taking this 300-hour to Finland. That's amazing. You know, it's so inspiring to spread these amazing teachings. And yeah.
I agree. I feel honored. I feel really honored.
Thank you, Mona.
Okay.
Thanks, Michaela.
Thank you. Hello.
Bye.
Bye.